if you had to rank Max right now, I mean, do you put Max on the level of the Hamiltons, Schumachers, and Sennas and Prosts and Fangios of the world? I mean, that's probably my top 5, maybe not in that order. Do you think Max has cracked that echelon yet, or do you think he still has to prove himself in terms of racecraft before we put him in that conversation?
I'm currently going through, as a program idea, of going through my top 10 Formula One drivers of all time. I'm thinking about it. Max, he's on the list, but I don't know where to put him. Because for me, I've always thought number one, Jim Clark. I've always thought Jim Clark was number one because Jim, of course, he could race anything and be champion in anything. So I've always thought Jim Clark was up there. Senna,
he just had his career cut
Moss,
short untimely. Yeah, you can certainly make that argument on talent.
Yeah, things like Senna, Moss, and they always come into my mind as well. Schumacher, Hamilton's definitely though. Of course, he's got to be. Vettel, he's on the list because he had that talent. Fernando is hovering on that, but to nail it down, there's so many great champions and so many greats of Formula One. Like Stirling Moss never won a championship, but he's still a greatest of all time because in his generation, everyone went, well, what did Moss do in that session? But Max, I would put Max now, just thinking about off the top of my head, about 9th on the list of all time.
Okay.
If I had a top 10, I'd put him 9th, just because he's still in his early days. Yes, he's won 3 World Championships, but Max has won those 3 World Championships very early. He's still got a lot to prove in my eyes. He's like a Schumacher. We're just seeing the beginning now. Let's see how far he can go.
Prost and Vettel, I'd say Prost is probably my 5A, Vettel's my 5B. Like Vettel, I mean, I could see a case.
Yeah,
for
they're
Vettel
very similar.
Top 5 was, what is it, 53 wins, I think, and 4 championships. So yeah, I mean,
very similar to Prost, actually, isn't he? Prost is 52, 51, something like that.
Yeah,
51 for Prost. Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah.
I still remember when Prost became number 1 of all time. I've got that I've got that video recording, Portugal in I think 87. It was recorded by my uncle because he used to do work with Alain Prost. So we recorded the BBC programme and my grandma had the tape and I watched it. So that was one of the first classic races I ever watched when he became the all-time record scorer for most wins in Formula One. So yeah, it's quite weird how that all comes up. You just remind me of that.